Assassin's Creed Origins, the game that Ubisoft decided to put on the back burner for an extra year to avoid doing their yearly release because The Witcher came out and it really inspired them to put out a better game. Supposedly the gameplay has been improved, quotation marks, and the story's interesting, quotation marks. But in typical Ubisoft's fashion, they are always a half measure. And you might sit there and go, Gundam, what the fuck are you talking about now? And I mean in the sense of, even if you watch the Digital Foundry breakdown of Assassin's Creed Origins on the PlayStation 4 Pro versus the PC, you'll find that there's very little texture differences between the 4K PC version and the 1080p PlayStation version, or the Flux 4K as I like to call it.
Upgrade. The core artwork also benefits from the increased pixel count, with increased detail being fleshed out across character clothing and some of the environment. However, that said, it's a bit disappointing to see that we're not looking at higher quality textures across most of the game. The core assets are basically the same as on PlayStation 4 and indeed Xbox One. So perhaps the game isn't making the most of the full 4K resolution available, although the artwork still holds up really nicely at extreme pixel counts.
I mean, literally, the texture improvement was non-existent, which I found completely and utterly odd. You have all this horsepower in the PC. The PlayStation 4 Pro is a more powerful console. They could have had better textures for 1440p. The Xbox One X is coming. They could have did something there. But instead, Ubisoft, in typical Ubisoft fashion, half-assed it, per as usual. Also, what was weird is the... God damn it, dog. Also, what was weird was the requirements for Assassin's Creed Origins. Strangely enough, if you look at the Steam page, it says it supports NVIDIA cards from the 600 series, 680 and up. From the 700 series, they think you should be using a 780 or better. 900 series, 970 or better. And from the 10 series, they suggest use a 1050 or better. But oddly enough, a GTX 770 is better than a 1050. It's on par for 1050 Ti, and on many occasions it beats it, but not by a large margin. So it's an odd spec sheet. Also, while going through this, you won't find Denuvo. In order to find out that Denuvo is on Assassin's Creed Origins, you have to go to the Ubisoft EULA page. And I've probably pontificated far too long. Point being, Denuvo and VM Protect are causing CPUs to pretty much bottleneck like a motherfucker. This might explain why Assassin's Creed Origin can't achieve a locked 60 at 4K with a 1080 Ti, which I found to be quite odd, especially if the textures haven't seemed to evolve past the 1080p textures used on the PlayStation. How on earth is this even possible? And I may think that this has something to do with it. Now, some theorize that if you're using Steam, then you're playing on Uplay, then there's Denuvo, then you have vProtect on. This is probably the main reason why your CPU is maxing out at 100. There are tons and tons of comments from very, very pissed off people with some pretty beefy rigs at a 100% CPU bottleneck. What the fuck is going on here? And once again, Ubisoft, sitting there saying that they learned something from CD Projekt Red and The Witcher, and what the fuck do? They put DRM on the fucking game, and they give you Denuvo of all of them. You think they just give it up on fucking Denuvo? For God's sakes. South Park's fractured but whole was cracked in a day. It's obvious Denuvo doesn't work anymore. The only thing you're doing is making life shittier for the people willing to buy your fucking game. You learn nothing. Nothing. To hell with Ubisoft. I mean, really. Jesus H. Christ. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? And I bet you this game will be cracked in the next week. Now, I would sit there and say something ridiculous like, it'll be cracked and the pirated version will probably play better. That is not necessarily true, as some people often think, as they will crack it, but the pirate version will still have Denuvo running in the background. Unless video game cracking is better than I know, and they figured out how to completely turn off Denuvo, which would be pretty fucking interesting. According to Darksider Gaming, according to the scene group Revolt, Ubisoft has added VM Protect over Denuvo. Our guess is that the French team did this in order to protect the title from pirates. After all, we've seen all the latest Denuvo games getting cracked in less than a day. However, and at the time of writing this, there is still no crack for Assassin's Creed Origins. That's all good for Ubisoft. However, Revolt claims that this implementation brings severe CPU performance hits. According to its reports, there's an additional 30 to 40% CPU performance hit with the new implementation of VM Protect. While they're busy worried about the sales they're never going to get for the game, because let's face it, there's been so many studies that have pretty much proven that piracy doesn't really affect sales, because the people who pirate it were never going to buy it anyway. There is a small margin of people who might pirate something and then later on buy it, but that's a small group. Overall, if someone's pirating something, they're not going to pay for it. As I'm told by people from third world countries, they're not buying this shit, it's too expensive, they can't afford it, so they have no choice but to pirate. And I guess that's that. In the long run, having it this way just fucks with people who pay for it. Like guys like me. Not saying I own it, but when I buy a game, knowing that there's shit like Denuvo on it really sucks. Now, the underlying issue many people are having, besides 100% CPU usage, is the fact that even at lower resolutions like 1080p, there are people who are coming across stutters. How is this acceptable? How? How is it acceptable that a modern game on something like a 6700K and up from Ubisoft, who's learned so much from the little darlings of the PC world, The Witcher, still release a game that has these issues? On top of that, the game itself isn't that well optimized. It's fucking Ubisoft. So now you gotta deal with Denuvo and VM Protect, and you gotta deal with Ubisoft's shitty ass optimization and game bugs. Then you gotta live with Uplay running in the background, plus Steam if you got the Steam version. That's a lot of fucking load on your CPU, but hey, go fuck yourself. And I'm pretty sure the only reason why most of these companies do this shit is because they're shareholders. You know, the guys in the suits who don't know their asshole from a hole in the ground when it comes to video games, sitting there going, get Denuvo on that. I heard that it was the best copyright protection ever. We want maximum profits, we want maximum revenue, and make sure that there's lots of microtransactions and we get the most amount of money we possibly can for this. I'm hearing good things about Denuvo. Their site says they're the best, so get them. And that's that. And then we're all fucked because some group of out-of-touch people, much like Congress, are writing rules for the rest of us and just shitting in our Cheerios. Even if I was interested in this game, this is a huge deal breaker right here, considering that and it's Ubisoft. I mean, really, Ubisoft should be doing everything it can to like ingratiate itself to the PC community, because frankly, they haven't really been hitting out of the park for a guy like me. The only people super interested in Ubisoft stuff are usually casual gamers. Then there are the gamers who know better, but they're like, yeah, this looks a little bit better this time, I'll give it a shot. And then they get hit in the face with this fucking bullshit. And it's kind of like, I deserved it. It was fucking Ubisoft. I knew better. I don't know, man. What a fuck fest. Typical Ubisoft. The day they make a game that isn't bug-ridden or have some sort of bullshit issue, I don't know. I'll eat a delicious dinner in honor of it with a glass of wine. How about that? Something I can't afford. Oh, Ubisoft just released a statement today. Ironic, huh? We're confirming that the anti-tampering solutions implemented in the Windows PC versions of Assassin's Creed Origins have no perceivable effect on in-game performance. In order to recreate a living system and majestic open world of ancient Egypt, where players can witness all the stunning details, its beautiful landscapes, and incredible cities in a completely seamless way with no load screens, Assassin's Creed Origins uses the full extent of the minimum and recommended PC system requirements, and they give you a link to their form, while ensuring a steady 30 FPS, committed to ensuring the most optimum experience possible for everyone. And we advise any players who may encounter performance issues on PC to check support.ubi.com, as there may be already a workaround, or to contact further. To fuck with this, it's bullshit. There are people now reporting that it's 60% CPU usage on the fucking menu screen. It's obvious that Assassin's Creed Origins has been scaled back drastically on the NPC front, unlike Unity, which still to this day was one of their most technically demanding games, because they, honest to God, thought consoles could handle the crazy shit they thought of doing. That actually seemed like a world that had shit going on, whereas to Assassin's Creed has been rolled back on the NPCs, and environment details be bullshit, that's what I've been told. And even Digital Foundry said so. So this is, once again, damage control. And don't trust anything a company will tell you. They'd lie to your fucking face holding the murder weapon saying they didn't kill your mother. Like, really? They must think we're stupid. And on top of that, Ubisoft's customer service is fucking useless, dude. Like, I've troubleshot enough Ubisoft games to know. You're better off Googling and going through Reddit to find a solution to your issue, because the people who work at Ubi don't have a fucking clue. Let's see. When I had a 720 SLI, my game kept crashing. And did you try a single graphics card? Unfortunately, I ranted about Ubisoft longer than I anticipated. So I should just probably cut the video here, because the next story I was going to do is on Star Wars Battlefront 2. And Lord knows, usually I start ranting about EA, this could turn into a 30-minute video, and nobody's got time for that shit. I can already feel people clicking the close button. Hup, he's going to talk about EA and Ubi in one video? I don't have time for this. I got to go to... Get away from me, sir. How dare you? I'm going to do a separate video for Battlefront just to keep it together. Rate, comment, subscribe if you so choose to. If not, the hell with it. I can't actually give more of a shit than me in the age of apathy. But if you do follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all other crap, it makes me more viable in the industry, and a voice that cannot be ignored, and they'll see me as a man that cannot be bought nor trifled with. And I feel like there's a message that has to be put across, because in all honesty, I think most of the people who follow me are the disenfranchised of the tech and video game world. We're the guys who remember what it was like before games became this mainstream cash grab of soullessness, and when PC gaming wasn't a minefield of miners buying up graphics cards until where even low-end and used graphics cards that used to be cheap are insanely expensive.